Thank you very much, Mr. Pedro Duque, for showing us the importance of the space sector in our society, for giving us a sneak preview of what's next, and also for being a role model for many of us in this room. I think you've convinced us that space can drive innovation and truly foster progress on both a local and a global scale. So to wrap up this conference, I would like to go back to the foundational theme that has guided today's discussion, namely that of the transformative and inspiring nature of space to improve our lives and the lives of others. Indeed, today we have explored the full potential of space from an academic, economic, business, humanitarian, and social perspective, but most importantly, we have done so from a narrative of hope, of resilience, and of innovation. In turn, this has provided us with a unique opportunity to recognize the contributions of many people in the field, including many of you in this audience, while also allowing us to look into the future and discuss the importance of training and supporting the new generations. So with all these ideas in mind, I would like to welcome Mrs. Mònica Roca, President of the Commission of Space and Aeronautics of the Barcelona Chamber of Commerce and former President of the Chamber of Commerce, and Mr. Lluís Juncà, Director General for Innovation, Digital Economy and Entrepreneurship of the Government of Catalonia, for an institutional closing. But before I go, I'd like to thank you all for participating in this Congress, kindly sharing your experiences and perspectives with others, and overall helping us to strengthen the Catalan and European space sectors. Because as we build the new space sector of tomorrow, it is thanks to people like you, your passion and your hard work, that we are actually revolutionizing the field and giving people like me the chance to come back home and do what we love. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I actually would like to start with a sentence that Pedro Duque has mentioned at the beginning of his talk. Arthur Clarke said, we only know the limits of the possible, right, when we cross the barrier and we go to the impossible. So this is an example of something that looked impossible 4 years ago, and is having a congress of 2 days about new space here in Catalonia, with a strategy that is led by the government, but is put together with all the different authorities in Catalonia, starting from the research centers and universities, led by the Institut d'Estudis Especials de Catalunya, who's doing a great job in mixing what is the public sector together with the private sector, which is currently represented by the Chamber of Commerce. So this is an example of something that 4 years ago or 5 years ago seemed impossible, and we're here today with this fantastic Congress. Yesterday was impressive seeing the number of people attending, and today it's a bit shortened, but still quite numerous. And I think that the speakers have been extremely of a very high level. We had numbers of tables, round tables, of all sorts of topics, different topics, and I think it's been very successful. So thank you for citing Arthur, because he's given me the chance to actually start with this appreciation of what, as I said, seemed impossible. We normally, in trying to improve what we do every year, have some questions for the audience. It helps us understanding what is important for all of us. I think one of the changes that this new paradigm of new space, which in the end, I know that Pedro is a bit critical with this new space, in the sense that we cannot only do new space, we have to put it together with a classic space, we know that. But in any case, I think it's given this change of paradigm that has allowed to approach or maybe getting the interest of other sectors which felt that they were so far away from space, and now they realize that actually they are using space data daily, every day, for their either businesses or for their daily life. So in order to improve, we raise a few questions to understand what do you need, what do you think. And what I'm going to go through is this list of questions and answers that you have all answered for sure through this application. And if you didn't, as a reminder for next year, to go and answer this question. So the first one is, and I quickly read the question so that for those who haven't answered know what the question was about, and is in the realm of financing the new space ventures, which financial model do you believe holds the most promise for sustained growth and innovation? Well, there were three possible answers. Increase the reliance on private investment and venture capital for space startups. I'm very, very impressed that this is probably not positively impressed, but that only 3% have actually chosen this answer, but I'll go through that. The second one is government-backed initiatives and funding to support large-scale space exploration projects. And finally, the collaborative efforts between public and private sectors to secure a diverse range of funding sources for space endeavors. Well, luckily, the last one has been the one chosen for 80% of the answers, which is indeed mandatory. I think we've also seen this through all the different panels. We do want these collaborative efforts between private and public sector, definitely. So I think this is clear, and I insist I'm happy to see this answer. But I think we still have quite a lot to do and work to convince the private sector that space, it's a business also. It's an opportunity, and it can do a lot for the population, for the citizens, but you can do business out of it as well. And maybe, understand that governments are important. Public money is important. Public regulations for sure. Public support is definitely very important, but not only. It is important at the beginning. It's important what is done, for instance, in Catalonia as an example, that all the public sector has put together a strategy and is been together with the private sector, understanding what the needs are. But we also need to involve all the private sectors. It's important that private investment and venture capital also plays an important role in all this business. So I think I get the impression that we still need to work a little bit on this sense for the maybe roundtables for next year. Next question. Oh, sorry, I don't have... Alterra? Pardon. The next question is, considering the evolving landscape of the new space sector and the space market, which aspects do you think will have the most profound influence? Emergence of commercial space tourism and its impact on the space travel industry. Well, this is only been answered by 4% of the audience. Growth of small satellite technologies and their role in revolutionizing Earth observation capabilities. This is the winner in this case, although it's quite drawn with the following one. Earth observation is definitely... I'd like to point out that we had a similar question on maybe the first or the second year, and Earth observation was still quite down below in the number of answers, and everybody thought more about telecommunications rather than Earth observation. And I'm happy to see that Earth observation is now being more... understood, perhaps. It's clear that we are in a climate emergency, and one thing that also Pedro has mentioned, which I liked a lot, is that the satellites are not biased, let's say, by their observations, and they can easily take observation globally, which is actually the main thing of a satellite, and therefore it's easy to compare one place and another, and I think it's important to understand what Earth observation can do for this climate emergency that we are facing. And the third one is advancement in satellite communication to enhance global connectivity. I think this is this is quite clear for everyone that communication through satellite is important. It's also acting as the fact that acts globally also helps rural, for instance, areas to reach this connectivity that otherwise wouldn't have. And we don't need to go very far. We can go to Africa, but we can also go to part of the Pyrenees here in Catalonia that we don't have mobile communications, and we need to use the satellites. Otherwise, yeah, we don't have any communication in some parts of the Pyrenees. And finally, increased collaboration between private space companies and traditional space agencies for joint missions and projects. Well, this is definitely an interesting part. I think it's perhaps it's weighted low because the others are easier to, in this context of this question to connect with. But definitely we need to increase this collaboration, and also that would apply to new space and traditional space. Regarding the environmental impact in the new space sector, which outcome do you think is most crucial for sustainability? Reduction of space debris and pollution has definitely, is the winner. Then advance in green propulsion technologies, which would be the lowest answer, and enhance monitoring and mitigation of climate change. Perhaps what I would like to remark here is that we still see space as a polluter, rather than helping understanding what the issues of the planet are, what the problematics of the planet are. And I say this, seeing that people are very concerned of space debris and pollution, and it's good. It has to be like this. We have to be concerned about that. But space is bringing much more than is actually polluting. That we need to work on that. We need to be didactic, let's say, and try and explain. And one day, long time ago, I made a computation, which I wouldn't really take too seriously now in terms of numbers, but how much a launch pollutes, which is quite a lot. But it actually, if you compare it with cars, it's just one extra car running for the whole year in the world. So it's not that much. Maybe now it's not 1, perhaps it's 10, I don't know, but it's still this order of magnitude. So I think we need to work on trying to make understand people that space is bringing so much more that is actually polluting for us. And finally, in the context of improving quality of life on Earth, through space activities, which area do you believe holds the greatest potential for positive? Access to space-based resources for sustainable development, utilizing space technologies for more effective disaster response, accelerating medical and technological breakthrough via space research, and access to space-based resources for sustainable development, which you see that is repeated from the first one. So we need to add those two, which would be 45%. I think this is clearly the most voted one, the access to space-based resources for sustainable development, which means that people are concerned about sustainable development. This is good. And there are many other, I think the other two are at the same level and not that far, actually, from the sustainable development. I don't have any particular conclusion on this one. I think it's the numbers talk for themselves. So I think, we have a fifth one, sorry, yeah. How could we achieve gender equality in the sector? Oh, that's a very interesting one, of course. Fostering education programs at first level in schools. This is mandatory. It's too late when girls are 15 years old. It's too late. We really need to start at the very beginning. We say P3 aquí. We need to start at the very beginning. And this is I see even in my family, with my children, the friends of my boys, because I only have sons, when they were 7 or 8 years old, they all wanted to be, not all of them, but many were interested in robotics, in space, in maths and physics. And when they turned 15, they've lost this interest. They've lost it because society, the way it still works, you tend to lose this interest. Either you like challenges or you lose the interest. So we have to start at the very beginning with these educational programs. But we do have to have references. I think we had one reference here today, which is Mariona, which is excellent at she's created, for instance, she's been the creator of Hypatia, or which is Hypatia 1, because there will be more, a group of 9 women that have gone to the Utah desert to prepare for a Mars expedition. So we need these references, and we need to, as Pedro was mentioning, when we have one of those, we need to make sure that they are very well known, and we help them becoming reference for the girls. So raising awareness of women at the workforce would also be necessary. Fostering activities related to women empowering at universities, well, I'm not saying this is not necessary, but as I said, it's becoming a bit too late when we are at the university. We really need to start much earlier than that. So this is in the last one. Perhaps one other thing that I would like to mention regarding something that Pedro has also said. In Europe, we have quite a lot of talent. And one of the differences that we have even in the approach of building satellites from Europe compared to the US is exactly this. The US, I have an example of different satellites I've been working with. The US normally has a much more, an extra budget, so they work with a lot of power in sensing power, I mean. Whereas in Europe, this is the US, whereas in Europe, because we have this talent, we need to work on the onboard algorithms because we don't have that much power, and so we need to be much more precise. So this is a difference between Europe and the way that Europe and the US work. And I'm very happy that we have this talent, but we also need to convince everybody to put all that much power in terms of budget, I would say. And don't be afraid, because as we've seen today and we see constantly, space is bringing so much to our daily work, and so much for the environment, so much for social problematics, humanitarian, and all sorts of problematics that we've been seeing these days. So I leave it here. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you, all of you, next year. Thank you.
Well, it's 2:15. We are beyond the safety factor of our schedule, so I'll stick to the basics. Basically, I want to thank you all for attending this Congress. We are very satisfied with the number of people attending. We had more than 600 registers with people coming from different locations. We have counted more than 13 different locations, and especially we want to thank the region of Flanders for being such a great collaborator, or such a great region, which we will do a lot of projects. I had here a list of different things that we have been discussing these 2 days. I will just go through them very quickly. We saw the trends yesterday, where we discussed about the collaboration through the idea of constellations. We also talked about how quantum technologies are completely transversal to the ecosystem of new space. Then we discussed about the security and cybersecurity, where there was this bottom line idea that security has to be thought from the beginning. They said that we must endure security by design. Then we have also talked about business. We've seen how regions and states are supporting through different programs the space industry. We, of course, have talked about the talent. We've talked about the transformation of many different regions, especially Catalonia or Flanders, where the idea of having a say or a role in the space sector was unforeseeable a few years ago, and here we are today, hosting our fourth Congress on new space. Also, we have talked about internationalization and the way Pedro put it very straightforward, that this is a sector which is where there is no place for a local mindset. So, and this connects with the way we see our economy in Catalonia, and that's why I think we embrace this sector so much, and with the passion we try to put in it. Finally, we celebrate, as I was saying earlier, that regional governments can have a say in this sector. We believe that the Catalan government was very right when 3 years ago started to push this agenda or this strategy of new space forward. We have seen the first results. We have some amazing companies in Catalonia doing amazing projects in collaboration with state-of-the-art partners throughout the world. We have companies that have raised millions of euros in the last months, and they are really pushing forward the boundaries of what we thought we're able to do here in Catalonia. So I will go very quickly through the acknowledgement. Well, I thought they were behind me. I have them here. But we want to thank you again, Flanders, and then especially the Chamber of Commerce for hosting and co-organizing this event with us. And then we had the partners of the Congress, the Cartographic and Geological Institute of Catalonia, the Institut d'Estudis Espacials, Fundació I2CAT, Fundació aquí in Barcelona. Then we had the collaborators of the Congress, Acció, the Digital Catalonia Alliance, the European Space Agency, Aparici, the International Space University, Nereus, and Women in Aerospace. And also all the sponsoring companies, as well as all the entities, speakers, and attendees who has participated in this excellent Congress in these last 2 days. Just my last thought, we like to say that space is a special sector, and we believe it's because all the participants, all the members of the space sector share a common goal, which is to make this world a better world. And I think this idea that goes throughout or across the sector is what makes this sector so special and makes for such a community and I think we all put this effort to make this sector thrive, because we believe that at the end of the day, what it results is in a better world. So thank you very much, and I hope you see you all again next year in the 5th edition of the New Space Economy Congress. Thank you.